Good morning, Sentinels. My name's Gavin S Readman and welcome to this episode of Drug-Free ADHD and SUPERFOCUS. This is sponsored by Leaderstribe.tv, and today I would like to ask you a question is why, if you do have ADHD, would you want to take drugs for the rest of your life? Now, just an example, my father, he didn't have ADHD, but more than likely, although he wasn't diagnosed, he probably did. That's a simple fact. If you have ADHD, your parents, it's got to come from somewhere. It is your genetics. It doesn't just appear. It is something that you have at birth. So it's given to you by your parents. Now, he went out and he was, the particular point, he had diabetes and he was taking, I think, about 16 different pills. Now, although with ADHD, you're probably only going to be taking one particular drug, that is something that you may be taking. If you have an adult ADHD, you could be taking those for the rest of your life. Now, you cannot tell me that that is good for somebody. They are basically opioids. I don't know about you, but that for me, or certainly for my mother, was not a solution. When I then was old enough, was not a solution I would want to accept. And since this is now 2019, I'd like to say to you that it's also probably one of the things that basically doctors bullshit you about. There's an 18% chance that actually it literally is just a placebo effect. That's even if you do or don't know whether it works, it doesn't make a difference. It's just there. So if a doctor gives you a pill and says this will work, it does because it's a placebo. Then there's also the other point that the drug companies don't tell you, and that is the simple fact that for a lot of people, that can be 1 or 200, it only works in 1 or 200 of the cases that applies to you. So you could be looking for different types of medication for quite a long time before they actually work. And if that's the case, if you've had ADHD or been diagnosed when you're a kid, then you'll know for a fact that's the case. You'd be very, very lucky if you just went to a doctor and they prescribed you one pill and it works straight away. But that said, why would you want to live a life without taking drugs that help you when you're an adolescent? I can understand it. I can understand it also from, I've seen parents that have kids that have ADHD, including myself. I've seen what it did to my family and did to my mother and my father. And I can fully understand why that people say, right, okay, they need that because otherwise they don't get through school, because we can't sit down. And the way that school works these days, 200 years old, it's basically sit down, shut up, and learn. Look for a book, learn from a test that actually is nothing like the reality of what people are experiencing in the job market at any point in time, but certainly not anymore. It's basically collaboration, working together, working as a team, connecting with people, which has nothing to do with stupid tests. It has to do with connecting with people, being friendly, understanding that you're on a team and working towards a common goal. Now, that said, at the end of the day, the pill is also, if you are taking them, also just treating the symptoms. And there are other alternatives to that are normal, natural, and you can do them, and they are something that you have control over. Because a lot of people seem to think that they're going to find an answer outside of themselves. Now, if you are stupid enough to think that somebody else can fix you, I can tell you now that is not going to work. Because the only person that can change you to make you better in any manner, shape or form, there can be things that will assist you, but they can't fix you. It's got to be owned by yourself. And that's why I've been talking about things like rest, reminders, rituals, rhythms, and all the other points that I've made, which accountability, open-mindedness, looking for opportunities. Those are the types of things, if you take exercise every day, if you're part of a social network that understands your condition that you have, then, and build those into your life, that can make a difference. And that is not the treatment of the results. That's actually improving the person that you are, and also then reducing the symptoms to the point where you can have a successful life. And if you want any proof of that, look at the CEOs of the world, if you're so inclined. Some of the greatest artists, some of the greatest actors that were around in the modern day and age, they have ADHD. So if you look at it like that and see it as a positive, believe that you can change it, you're accountable for it, and own it, and then everything else is an assistance, and don't see drugs as just being the answer to everything. Aside from the fact that the long-term results of these types of things, they used to hand out Valium like candy, and it didn't do the housewives or the American people or the English people for that matter that actually received Valium any good. They then found out it was addictive. Some of the actual drugs that are used for ADHD are also addictive, something they don't tell you very often. There are ones that aren't, and there are better ones. They have been developing more and more and more of these things because basically you are an income source to those companies. But it can't be the only thing that you're doing if you're dealing with ADHD, especially as an adult, because this is a long-term thing. It's your health you're talking about. Nobody else is responsible for that but you, yourself, and for your family. And if you do have a family, I'm sure you wish to make sure you're going to be there for as long as possible, as healthy as possible. And if you actually work on some of the things that you can control that are within your remit as a person, that means physical exercise, connection, picking the right peer group, and all the other things that I'd mentioned in the previous episodes, then you can make a difference to your life. And ADHD is then your superpower. And with that, all I can say is thank you very much for listening. As always, have a plan, be fun, foster wisdom wherever you see it, and have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And if you do like the content, please like the page or like the channel. That'd be much appreciated. And if you do have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, or if you want to, you can direct email me, which is gavin@leaderstribe.tv, and I will respond within a couple of days at the latest. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.